If I gave you £10 million worth of property tomorrow, would you automatically become financially free? This is a question I want you to think about. If I went out of my way today to set things up to give you £10 million worth of property tomorrow, would you automatically become financially free? I'd love to know what you think down below. Now, here's the thing that's super interesting about this. Most people instinctively would say yes. Most people, when they hear that question, they don't need to take a guess. Most people, the moment they hear that question, hold on, Samuel, tomorrow you're telling me you're going to give me £10 million worth of property, instantly I become financially free. This isn't a question where some people will be asking 50-50. This is a question where most people would say, listen, 100% yes. Well, here's the reality. The evidence says otherwise. Can I be that real today? Because the evidence says otherwise. Samuel, what do you mean the evidence says otherwise? Let's start at the top. A few weeks ago, I delivered a live stream session where I was talking about the losing lottery in life. When I spoke about the losing lottery in life, I started to articulate and broke down, as I was able to matriculate, the fact that over 70% of lottery winners, these are people that are getting access to the big bucks, revert back to the same or a worse financial position than they were within 5 years after winning that lottery. Now, why is this so important? The reason it's so important is because from a lottery perspective, a simple lottery perspective, people that are open doors to great winnings end up realizing that those great winnings don't result in the great innings that they thought it was going to be. Now, I'm going to share with you some of the concepts that I broke down in that session, just very simply because I want you to have this to your ready. I want you to be ready with this. Now, as I broke down the losing lottery in that previous session, like I said, because of time, I'm going to have to go through this quick. I basically shared a number of different aspects and elements. And there were 3 core elements that I shared, which are the exact same core elements that are at work and at play here. The first one is this. A losing lottery has 3 core characteristics. The one that's first is that you typically see it is taking place with many people. Okay? If you study the Bible, it says it in the Bible. It says, wide is the road that leads to destruction, okay? And many there are upon that road. So when you see many people diverging, converging into a particular direction, that is a sign that they're probably going to hit some form of an infection. Many people, first core characteristic of a losing lottery. Now, here's a second characteristic that most people don't realize. These many people are making all a minimum payment. When you see many people making a minimum payment, your alarm bell should be going off, because you should be recognizing, hold on a minute, this seems like it might be a losing lottery. I can already see 2 characteristics of the losing lottery. Let me give you the third. The third characteristic, when you see many people all running in order to make minimum payments and all expecting a maximum payout, that for you should be the biggest clue. These are the 3 core characteristics you need in order to succeed. When you recognize a situation, scenario, or setting in life where there's many people rushing to make a minimum payment in order to get a maximum payout, your alarm bell should be ringing. The voice in your heart should be singing, this looks like a losing lottery. Now, by losing lottery, Samuel, what do you mean? Let me break it down so this can start to become a lesson which is obscene. By losing lottery, what I mean is you're looking at a situation, you're looking at a scenario, you're looking at a setting where everybody thinks they're about to win, but let me tell you the truth about that thing. No one is going to win. They're going to lose. Now, I used to work in schools as a secondary and A-level math teacher. I then became a teacher trainer, teaching teachers how to teach. And one of the things I discovered is with my students, I would often do this little assessment on the internet. And you can go do it yourself on the internet and just Google lottery calculator and stick in how many balls get drawn in the lottery. Usually 6 balls. And what do the numbers go up to? Usually up to 49. And how many balls do you need right to get the jackpot? All 6. And you will see that there is a 13 million % chance that you are going to win. Let me tell you something, my friends. The odds are stacked against you. This is why, if you ever say to yourself, Samuel, if you gave me £10 million tomorrow, I'd be rich, I'd be rich, I'd be rich. I'm here to tell you, you may not really understand the matrices, the framework, the process and positioning it takes in order to make the wealth that really breaks your current situation. As I said a moment ago, I will say it again. They say over 70% of lottery winners revert to the same or a worse financial position than they were in before ever winning that lottery. Why is that the case? I'm going to tell you why it's the case. It's the case because they are in a situation where there's many people. They're in a situation where they're making a minimum payment, and they're in a situation where they're expecting a maximum payout. Now, here's how this connects to these 5 traps we're going to be discussing in today's session. It connects to these traps because the same pattern occurs in property investment. I'm going to say it again in case you need to pick up your pen. The exact same pattern occurs in property investment. The exact same pattern. I can show you of countless students that I have who I've worked with, friends, because they've been working with me for so long, they've become friends, who have built portfolios of 4, 5, 6, 8 properties and thought to themselves they're going to be financially free because the amount of worth their portfolio was worth to them. They built £4 million portfolios, generating them less than £3,000 per month. So here's the question. If wealth doesn't solve the problem, what is the actual problem?